learning that I had quit my job and canceled all transfers. My mother-in-law arrived at 6 a.m. to sort things out, but she didn't expect what I would do next. But before I begin, I'll ask you to like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you, and enjoy listening. Patricia Henderson sat in the kitchen, crying quietly, with a tissue in her hand, staring into a cup of cold tea. Ryan stood by the refrigerator, crumpling a dish towel in his hands. Emma sat opposite her mother-in-law with her hands folded on the table. "I don't know what to do," Patricia said through sobs. "The bank raised the rate. The payment has almost tripled. My Social Security isn't even enough for half. If I'm late for 2 more months, they'll sue. They could take the house." 6 months had passed since the wedding. They were renting a 1-bedroom apartment on the outskirts of town. Both worked, saving for a down payment. Patricia didn't visit often, once a month, no more. She called ahead, brought homemade cookies, asked about their affairs, behaved politely, even somewhat distantly. Emma had begun to think she was lucky with her mother-in-law. And now, here sat a woman with red eyes asking for money. "Mom, how much do you need?" asked Ryan. $1,000 a month to cover the payment. It's not for long, a year, maybe a year and a half, until I figure something out. Emma remained silent, studying her mother-in-law. She didn't raise her eyes, fidgeting with her tissue. Ryan looked at his wife. She nodded almost imperceptibly. "All right, Mom, we'll help." Patricia sobbed louder, grabbed her son's hand. "Thank you, son. I knew you wouldn't abandon me. I'm all alone. I have no one else to turn to." Emma stood up and put the kettle on. "Let's all calculate together how much you have left to pay the bank when the loan will be closed." The mother-in-law hesitated. "Well, there's still 2.5 years left. So we'll be helping for 2.5 years. No, I said a year and a half maximum. I'll figure something out, maybe find a part-time job." Emma poured boiling water into cups and placed them on the table. "Agreed. $1,000 every month. But let's put this in writing so everyone can relax." Ryan flinched. "Why in writing? We're family." "Exactly why." Emma sat back down. "So no one later forgets or gets confused. Patricia will know she's receiving help on schedule. We'll know how much we've already given. Everything's fair." The mother-in-law wiped her eyes. "You don't trust me?" "I trust you. But life is unpredictable. In a year you might forget how much you received, or we'll forget how much we transferred. Paper is a guarantee for everyone." Patricia looked at her son, who shrugged. "Maybe she's right." "Fine." The mother-in-law pressed her lips together. "Write your paper." Emma took out a notebook and neatly wrote out the text. Amount, term, signatures. Patricia signed without looking, put her copy in her purse, said goodbye, and left. Ryan closed the door behind her and returned to the kitchen. "Do you really think the receipt was necessary?" "Yes." Emma put her copy in a document folder, just to keep things in order. He hugged her from behind. "You're so organized." She turned and kissed him on the cheek. "Just cautious." The transfers began on the 15th of each month. Exactly $1,000. Patricia sent short text messages. "Received, thank you." Nothing more. 3 months passed. The mother-in-law arrived on Sunday without warning. Emma opened the door. On the threshold stood Patricia with a store-bought cake in her hands and a smile. "Hello. I was in the neighborhood, decided to drop by." Ryan was delighted, rushed to hug his mother. They sat her at the table, cut the cake, drank coffee. The mother-in-law asked about work, about plans, told news from her neighborhood, behaved sweetly, homey. "You've gained a little weight, Emma," she suddenly remarked, looking over her daughter-in-law. "Maybe try that new diet everyone's doing. Men love it when their wife takes care of herself." Ryan choked on his coffee. "Mom, what does that have to do with anything?" "I'm just trying to help." Emma finished her coffee, took the cups to the sink, said nothing. Patricia stayed another hour, then began gathering her things. At the door, she turned back. Emma, you should clean the apartment better. See the dust on the shelves? Ryan grew up in a spotless house. I'll definitely wipe it, Emma answered evenly. The mother-in-law left. Ryan went out to see her to the elevator. Emma stood at the window, watched as Patricia got into her car. When her husband returned, she asked, "Is your mother always like this?" "Like what?" "Sharp, with comments." He shrugged. "She's just worried. Wants everything to be good for us." Emma nodded, didn't answer, went to wash the dishes. And thoughts were already spinning in her head. Patricia changed, began coming more often, and each time found something to criticize. The cooking wasn't right, the cleaning, the hairstyle, the clothes. With Ryan it was sweet and vague. When he left the room, a bit sharper, a bit meaner. A week later Emma went to an electronics store and bought a small digital voice recorder the size of a USB drive. The salesperson showed her how to turn it on, where the recordings were stored. Emma nodded, memorized. At home, she hid the box in the linen closet behind a stack of towels. She didn't use it yet, just kept it in reserve. Patricia began coming every 2 weeks, always with something from Trader Joe's or homemade baked goods, always with a smile. Ryan was happy. Mom misses us, wants to see us more often. Emma greeted her mother-in-law politely, set the table, maintained conversation, and listened attentively. "You should do your makeup better," Patricia would say, looking over her daughter-in-law. "You look so washed out. Men appreciate when a woman puts in effort." "The soup is too salty," she'd grimace, tasting lunch. "You need to watch the seasoning. Ryan is used to home cooking done right." "Your hair looks uneven," she'd touch the ends of Emma's hair. "Go to a good salon, you look unkempt." Each time a new detail. Nothing serious. Nothing you could take offense at out loud. But drop by drop. Constantly. Ryan didn't notice or pretended not to notice. One evening Emma was sitting alone in the kitchen. Ryan had gone to the shower. Patricia was finishing her coffee, getting ready to leave. "You know, Emma," she said suddenly, quieter than usual, "I'm glad Ryan got married, but honestly, I thought he'd choose someone more interesting." Emma looked up. "In what sense?" "Well, you're so ordinary. Regular job, average looks. He could have found someone brighter, but I guess he's settled." She smiled, got up, went to get her coat. Emma sat at the table, staring into the empty cup. Inside, everything contracted, not from hurt, but from anger, cold, rational anger. The next day, she took the voice recorder from the closet, checked the battery, memory, put it in the pocket of her cardigan. When Patricia arrived next time, Emma turned on the recording. Discreetly in the kitchen, while making coffee. The mother-in-law talked with Ryan about his work, praised how good he looked. Then her son went out on the balcony to take a call. Patricia was left alone with Emma. "You know, Ryan has a girl at work. Pretty, I saw her Instagram, still young, about 25. He mentions her a lot." Emma washed the cups without turning around. "How do you know?" "He told me. Says she's a colleague, but I see how his voice changes when he talks about her. Men are like that. If it's boring at home, they start looking around. It's not boring with us. Not boring yet." Patricia stood up, came closer. "And then what? You'll have a baby. Gain weight completely, get exhausted with the child. You think he'll wait for you to get back in shape? Men don't wait." Emma dried her hands with a towel and turned around. "You're trying to scare me. I'm telling it like it is. You're not in his league. He doesn't see it yet because he's young, but he will. Everyone sees it eventually." Ryan returned from the balcony. Patricia switched instantly. Smile again, warm voice again. "Sweetie, I have to go. Thanks for the coffee." She left. Emma turned off the recorder, transferred the file to her laptop, saved it in a password-protected folder. The first recording of many. A year passed. Emma continued collecting recordings. She had already accumulated 15. Each visit from her mother-in-law brought a new portion of poison. Careful, measured, but poison. You're too independent. Men don't like that. They need women who make them feel needed. You cook the same things over and over. Ryan loves variety. I made him something different every day growing up. You dress too casually. You need to wear dresses, skirts, show your feminine side. You laugh too loudly. It's unladylike. Ryan heard nothing. Patricia always chose moments when he left the room, was distracted by his phone, went to the bathroom. Emma didn't complain, didn't discuss it with her husband, just recorded, accumulated evidence. One day she was sitting at work, sorting through accounting spreadsheets. Her friend Jessica looked into her cubicle. Lunch. Let's go. They sat in a cafe across the street, eating salads. Jessica talked about the new manager, about office gossip. Emma listened, half-heartedly, thinking about her own things. You're kind of distracted, Jessica noticed. Problems. Mother-in-law. Emma gave a rueful smile. She's gotten to me. Ah, classic. They're all the same. Mine also criticized everything for the first year, then backed off. At least yours criticized openly. Mine does it behind closed doors. With my husband, she's an angel. Alone, she's a nightmare. Jessica sipped her iced tea. And what are you doing? Recording all conversations on a voice recorder. Seriously? Why? Just in case. You never know. Jessica looked at her more carefully. You think it will get serious? I don't know, but it's better to be prepared. They finished eating and returned to work. That evening Emma went to a bank. Not the one where the whole family banked, another one across town. She opened an account in her maiden name, asked for a virtual debit card, just a number for online use. The banker processed the documents, explained the terms. Emma nodded, signed, left the bank with a slight feeling of relief. Now she would have her own secret place for money in case something went wrong. She began setting aside $400 each month from her salary. Discreetly. Ryan didn't track her expenses, trusted her completely. She wasn't deceiving him, just creating a safety cushion. 6 months later, there was already $2,400 in the account. Not much, but a start. Patricia arrived on Saturday with multiple grocery bags. I decided to make you pot roast, she announced, heading to the kitchen. Otherwise, you probably live on takeout. Ryan was delighted. Emma silently made room in the refrigerator. The mother-in-law cooked for 3 hours, chopped, seasoned, roasted. Emma sat in the living room with a book, listening to her command the kitchen. Ryan helped, peeled potatoes, prepped vegetables. You see how a man helps when a woman cooks with love, Patricia said loudly so Emma could hear. They respond to genuine care. In the evening, they ate the pot roast, which was indeed delicious. Ryan praised it, asked for seconds. Patricia glowed. Emma, write down the recipe, she said, wiping her hands. I'll dictate it. Emma took a notebook, wrote down the ingredients, proportions, sequence. The mother-in-law stood over her, correcting, clarifying. But you'll hardly make it the same way, she added at the end. This requires practice years. And you've only recently learned to cook, right? I've been cooking since I was 16, Emma answered calmly. Well, yes, of course, but that's not the same. Real home cooking is a gift. Either you have it or you don't. Ryan was scrolling through his phone, didn't hear or didn't want to hear. Patricia left late in the evening. Emma washed the dishes, cleaned the stove, put the leftover pot roast in the refrigerator. Ryan went to bed immediately, tired from the week. Emma sat in the kitchen, drinking water, thinking. The mother-in-law was intensifying her attacks. Before she came once every 2 weeks, now every week. Before she just commented, now she actively interfered in their life, cooked, cleaned, gave advice. Ryan perceived this as care. Mom is great, she helps. Emma saw something else. Patricia was marking her territory, showing, I'm the main one here. I know better, I'm more important. Something had to be done. But what? Emma took out her phone, searched private investigator with her city name, scrolled through websites, read reviews, chose an agency with good ratings and reasonable prices, saved the number in contacts. She didn't call yet, just kept it in reserve. She went to sleep after midnight, lay down next to Ryan. He sleepily hugged her. She lay with open eyes, staring into the darkness. Patricia had been receiving $1,000 from them every month for more than a year. $12,000. The loan, according to her words, should have closed in a year and a half from the beginning. A year had passed, 6 months remained. But something told Emma the transfers wouldn't end in 6 months. There would be a new reason, a new request, a new problem. She needed to check to be sure. In the morning, Emma called that agency. A woman with a professional voice answered, introduced herself as Karen. Emma explained the situation. I need to check someone's financial situation. Quietly, discreetly, so the subject doesn't find out. Is this legal? Asked Karen. It's my mother-in-law. She receives money from us for a loan. I want to make sure the money is going where she says it is. I understand. The service costs $2,000, takes a week. I need information, address, social security number if possible, place of work or retirement status. Emma provided everything she knew. Karen wrote it down, promised to call back with details. An hour later, she sent payment information via encrypted email. Emma transferred the money from her secret account. The week dragged on slowly. Emma worked, cooked dinners, watched Netflix with Ryan, pretended everything was fine. Patricia came on Wednesday, brought banana bread, sat down for coffee. Ryan was working late. They were left alone. You know, Emma, the mother-in-law began thoughtfully. I sometimes wonder why Ryan chose you specifically. Emma was pouring coffee, not turning around. And what conclusion did you reach? I think you happened to be there at the right time. He had just broken up with his ex-girlfriend, was vulnerable, and you were convenient. We met through mutual friends at a barbecue. Well, yes, you were convenient. Lucky timing. But that doesn't mean you're really right for him. Emma placed the mugs on the table, sat across from her. Why do you think so? Because I can see you're too practical, too cold. He needs a woman with warmth, with passion. And you're like a robot. Work, home. Boring. Ryan hasn't complained about being bored. He hasn't complained yet, but I see how he looks at other women when we're out. That means he's missing something. Emma drank coffee in small sips. The voice recorder in her pocket recorded every word. You want me to change something? I want you to be honest with yourself. Admit you're not right for him, and let him go before it's too late. Before kids appear, before you're completely tied together. I'm not planning to let him go. Patricia sighed. Too bad. Then you'll suffer when he leaves on his own. Ryan came home. The mother-in-law instantly transformed. Smile, affection, questions about work. An hour later she left. Emma downloaded the recording to her laptop, the 16th file in the collection. On Friday, Karen from the agency called. The report is ready. I can email it or we can meet in person. Email it. 10 minutes later, a message arrived with an encrypted attachment. Emma opened it and began reading. Patricia and Henderson. Social Security income. $2,600 monthly. There really was a loan at the bank taken 3 years ago for home repairs. Amount, $35,000. Monthly payment after the rate increase, $1,550. Further, it got more interesting. The loan was closed 8 months ago. Fully, early repayment. Emma, reread the line. Then again, 8 months ago. They had continued transferring money for another 8 months after the loan was closed. $8,000. For nothing? No, not for nothing. Patricia continued receiving money, just no longer for the loan. Emma continued reading. Savings account opened 2 years ago. Regular deposits of $700 to $50 monthly. Current balance, $22,500. Emma leaned back in her chair. So that's how it was. The mother-in-law not only wasn't spending their money on the loan for the last months, she was depositing most of it, saving for something. Further in the report were bank statements, transfers, payments. Nothing unusual. Utilities, groceries, pharmacy copays. The last page had the investigator's notes. Subject regularly visits the real estate office, Homefinders Realty. Over the past 3 months, there have been 5 documented visits. According to a source at the agency, the client is interested in 1-bedroom condos in the Riverside and Oak Park areas. Price range, $180,000 to $250,000. She mentioned she's saving for a place for her son. Emma closed the document, stood up, paced around the room. Patricia was saving money to buy a place for Ryan. With their own money, what she received for the loan, she partially deposited, plus her own savings. Why would Ryan need a condo? They had a plan to buy their own house in a year when they saved up for the down payment. Or the mother-in-law knew something that Emma didn't know. She called the agency again, asked for Karen. Can you continue surveillance for another month? Of course. What exactly should I track? All contacts, all meetings, especially if she discusses my husband or me with anyone. I need to know what she's planning. All right, this will cost $2,500. I agree. Emma transferred the money. $2,100 remained in the secret account. Not enough. She needed to save faster. She opened a spreadsheet with their budget, looked at expenses. She could cut back on clothes, on entertainment, on Ubers. Save not $400, but $600 monthly. In a year, there would be over $7,000. That would be enough for a good lawyer if needed. Ryan came home in the evening. Emma met him with dinner, kissed him, asked about work. An ordinary evening of an ordinary married couple. Only Emma now knew the mother-in-law was lying and saving their money for something of her own. And this something was clearly not for their benefit. Another month passed. Karen sent reports every week. Patricia continued looking at properties, meeting with friends, going to doctor's appointments, shopping at Whole Foods. The ordinary life of an ordinary retiree. But one day new information appeared in the report. Subject visited Wells Fargo, spoke with a loan officer. Topic of conversation: possibility of co-signing a loan application for her son without his knowledge or presence. Officer explained this was impossible without the applicant's signature and consent. Subject persisted, mentioned she had access to his financial documents. Officer declined and ended the meeting. Emma read and reread. Patricia tried to take out a loan using Ryan's information without his knowledge. Why? To tie him to herself through debt? Or to take money supposedly for his needs, then say, "This is for you, honey, now help Mom pay it off"? Emma saved the report in a separate folder. Now she had 2 trump cards, recordings of conversations and evidence of financial scheming. But showing them to Ryan was still too early. He wouldn't believe it. He'd say she was paranoid, that Mom couldn't do such a thing. She needed more. She needed such clear evidence that he couldn't deny it. In November, Patricia arrived with news. "I've decided to move closer to you too," she announced over coffee. "I found a small condo, very nice. Right in your neighborhood. I'll be nearby, can help more often." Ryan was delighted. "That's great, Mom. Finally, you'll be close." Emma was silent, stirring her coffee. "What about money?" she asked. "A condo costs a lot." "Oh, I have some savings." Patricia waved her hand. "Plus, I'll sell my house. I'll add a little. I'll manage." Savings. Emma raised her eyes. "You said you barely got by on Social Security." "Well, I set aside something little by little. Small amounts." "I see." Ryan didn't notice the tension in his wife's voice. He asked his mother about the condo, about the neighborhood, about the moving timeline. Patricia told him contentedly. Emma went to the kitchen to load the dishwasher. turn the water up louder so as not to hear their voices. The mother-in-law was moving closer. This was bad, very bad. It meant the control would intensify. Visits would become even more frequent. Interference in their life would be constant. She had to act soon. But how? Emma dried her hands, returned to the living room, sat next to her husband on the couch. Patricia was talking about renovations in the new place. Emma listened, half-heartedly. In her head a plan was forming. Still unclear, fragmentary, but the contours were already taking shape. She wouldn't tell her husband about the mother-in-law's savings account, wouldn't show the recordings, wouldn't complain. For now, she would continue saving money, continue collecting evidence, and when enough accumulated, she'd strike one precise, devastating blow from which the mother-in-law wouldn't recover. Patricia was playing the long game. Excellent. Emma also knew how to play the long game. And in this game, the winner isn't the one who starts first, but the one who makes the last move. The mother-in-law left late. Emma went to bed, holding Ryan. He was already asleep, breathing evenly. She stroked his hair, looked at his face in the dim light from the street. "I'll protect you," she whispered. "From anyone, even from your mother." He didn't hear, slept deeply, peacefully, not suspecting that around him unfolded a quiet, invisible war between two women, who both considered him theirs, but only one of them was ready to go all the way. Patricia moved in February. The condo turned out to be 10 minutes' drive from their apartment, a small one-bedroom on the 3rd floor of a modern complex with a pool. Ryan helped with the move the whole weekend, hauled boxes, assembled IKEA furniture, hung blinds. Emma came for short periods, brought lunch from Panera, smiled when necessary, agreed, and examined the new place with an attentive gaze. The condo was nice, recently updated. New furniture, a sectional sofa, bedroom set, modern kitchen with quartz countertops. The appliances were also new. Stainless steel refrigerator, dishwasher, flat-screen TV. All this cost money, serious money. "Mom, where did you get so much for all this?" asked Ryan, assembling a coffee table. "I sold my house," answered Patricia, unpacking dishes. There was enough for this place, and furniture left over. Emma stood at the window, looking at the courtyard, calculating in her mind. The mother-in-law's old house in the suburbs. A standard 3-bedroom ranch could have sold for around $350,000. This 1-bedroom condo, maximum $200,000. The difference, $150,000. Minus furniture and appliances, about $30,000, leaving $120,000. Plus the savings account of $22,500, according to the latest data. Plus continuing transfers from them of $1,000 monthly. Patricia had money, considerable money, and she continued hiding it. "Emma, don't just stand there. Help unpack these dishes," called the mother-in-law. Emma turned, approached the boxes, took out plates, passed them to Patricia. She arranged them in the cabinet, commenting on each piece. "This china set Ryan gave me when he graduated college. See how elegant it is with the gold rim. Real Lenox." Emma nodded, passed the next stack. After 3 hours, everything was unpacked, arranged, set up. Patricia made sandwiches and iced tea. The 3 of them sat in the small dining area. "Now I'll visit you more often," said the mother-in-law, pouring tea. "Help with housework. After all, you both work hard and I'm retired. I have plenty of time." Ryan hugged his mother around the shoulders. "Thank you, Mom, you're the best." Emma drank tea silently. Inside, everything contracted. Help with housework. That meant getting into every corner of their life, controlling every detail, commenting on everything. The first week after the move, Patricia came every day, rang the doorbell around 11 in the morning when they were both at work. Emma left earlier, Ryan later. The mother-in-law stayed alone in their apartment for several hours. In the evening, Ryan would mention, "Mom came today, vacuumed, cleaned the bathroom, made lasagna, it's in the fridge." Or, Mom did the laundry, says our towels were getting dingy. Or, Mom organized the pantry, threw out some expired stuff. Each time a new intrusion, Emma would return home and see the evidence. Rearranged items, fresh vacuum lines, homemade food in containers. One day, she opened the bedroom closet. Her clothes hung in a different order. Patricia had reorganized everything her way. Work clothes together, casual together, sorted by color. Emma stood looking at someone else's system in her closet, her hands clenched into fists. She was in here, she said to Ryan that evening, in our bedroom. Reorganized my clothes. So what? He didn't look up from his laptop. She was cleaning, put things in order. These are my clothes, my closet, my system. Emma, don't make a big deal. She was trying to help. Help is asking first, not doing it without permission. Ryan sighed, closed his laptop. You know what Mom is like. She needs to stay busy, needs to feel useful. Let her have that. At my expense. At our expense. We're family. Emma turned around, went to the kitchen, poured water, drank it in one gulp, then another glass. Ryan didn't see the problem. For him, it was care. Mom comes, cleans, cooks. Great. And for Emma, it was loss of territory, control, privacy. She took out her phone, texted Karen from the agency. I need hidden cameras installed to see what happens in the apartment when I'm not there. The answer came 10 minutes later. This will cost $3,500 plus monthly cloud storage fee of $250. Emma looked at the balance of her secret account. $6,100. The cameras would take more than half, but she needed to know what the mother-in-law was doing in their absence. Agreed. When can you install? Tomorrow afternoon. You need to be home. I will be. The next day Emma called in sick to work, told her boss she had a doctor's appointment. He was understanding without questions. At 1 p.m, 2 technicians arrived with equipment cases. They showed credentials from the security company. Emma let them in. They worked quickly, professionally, installed 4 cameras. In the entryway, in the living room, in the kitchen, and in the bedroom. Miniature, disguised as smoke detectors or wall outlets. Access through a phone app, explained the lead tech. Recording is continuous 24/7. Stored for 30 days in the cloud, then automatically deleted. You can watch live or download clips. Emma nodded, taking mental notes. They showed her how to use the app, tested everything. She paid with her debit card. They left. Emma sat on the couch, opened the app. For camera feeds. Empty apartment, silence. Picture quality was excellent. Sound too. Now she would know everything. Patricia came the next day at 11:30. Emma sat at work, watching the live feed on her phone. The mother-in-law opened the door with her own key. Ryan had given her a spare the previous week, so she wouldn't have to wait outside. First, Patricia went to the kitchen, put grocery bags on the counter, took out ingredients, started meal prep. Nothing unusual. Then, when a casserole was baking in the oven, she went to the bedroom. Emma switched cameras. The mother-in-law opened the closet with Emma's clothes. Stood there, went through items, pulled out dresses, examined them, shook her head, hung them back. Then she opened dresser drawers. Underwear. Emma gripped the phone tighter. Patricia went through her bras and panties, grimaced, muttered something to herself. The audio was too faint to make out clearly. She closed the drawer, went to the nightstand, opened it. Inside were documents, notebooks, pens. The mother-in-law leafed through a notebook, read it. It was Emma's budget planner. She tracked expenses there, planned their finances. Patricia read carefully, then took out her phone, photographed several pages, put the notebook back, closed the drawer. Emma sat at her desk, clutching the phone. A chill ran through her. The mother-in-law was photographing her personal notes. Why? Patricia went to the living room, opened their file cabinet. Their passports, marriage certificate, insurance documents, loan papers were stored there. She rifled through folders, Seemed to be looking for something specific. Found it. The marriage certificate. Photographed it. Then their car loan documents. Also photographed. She returned to the kitchen, checked on the casserole, transferred it to containers, washed dishes, wiped down the stove. Everything neat, clean. She left. 2 hours later, Emma sat at work, unable to concentrate. Before her eyes was the image. Patricia going through their things, photographing private documents. Why? What was she looking for? That evening, Emma downloaded all the video for the day, saved it on an encrypted flash drive, put it in a lockbox she kept hidden. Ryan came home from work, was pleased about the casserole. Mom cooked again. Awesome. Emma served him a portion, silently. You're kind of quiet, he noticed. Rough day. Yes. Stressful project. Eat. You'll feel better. They ate in silence. Emma looked at her husband and thought, tell him. Show him the video. No. Too early. He won't understand. He'll say Mom was just tidying up, happened to open drawers. Nothing sinister. She had to wait, collect more evidence, understand what exactly the mother-in-law was plotting. A week later, Patricia came with a friend. Emma saw it on the camera feed. 2 women in the entryway taking off coats. Come in, Diane, make yourself at home, the mother-in-law said. This is my son's apartment. I'm here almost every day helping out. They went to the kitchen. Patricia made coffee, got out cookies. The apartment is small, of course, she said, looking around. But what can you do? They're renting while they save for a house. And what's the daughter-in-law like? Asked the friend, sipping coffee. She's okay, I guess. Pretty average. Nothing special about her. Ryan could have done better, honestly. At least she has a job. Some kind of accountant. Doesn't make much. Not great around the house, either. Barely cooks, cleans half-heartedly. I end up redoing everything. The friend made a sympathetic sound. Well, you have to deal with it, since your son chose her. I deal with it. What choice do I have? Though I keep hoping he'll see the light eventually. Realize he made a mistake. Maybe they'll divorce. Then I'll help him find someone better. They laughed. Emma sat in her cubicle, listening through earbuds. Her jaw clenched tight. Patricia gave the friend a tour, showed the rooms. In the bedroom, she stopped by the bed. This is where they sleep. The sheets are cheap Target stuff. I bought them nice Ralph Lauren ones, gave them as a gift. They don't appreciate quality. Will there be grandchildren? I don't know. They're not rushing. Maybe that's for the best. If they divorce, at least there won't be custody issues. The friend left an hour later. Patricia finished cooking, wiped down surfaces left. Emma downloaded the recording, added it to her growing collection. Now she had not only audio where the mother-in-law insulted her in private. Now there was video of her bad-mouthing her to outsiders. But still too early to act. She needed more. She needed something that would be the final, undeniable proof. In March, Emma noticed something strange. Her period was late. First a week, then 2. She bought a pregnancy test from CVS. 2 pink lines. Pregnant. She sat on the edge of the bathtub, staring at the test. Her head felt foggy. She and Ryan hadn't planned children this soon. They wanted to buy a house first, get more established, but life had other plans. Ryan was thrilled, hugged her, lifted her off her feet. We're going to be parents. Can you believe it? I can believe it. Emma smiled, but inside felt anxious. A baby. This would change everything. Maternity leave, reduced income, dependence on Ryan. And Patricia, who now definitely wouldn't back off, would interfere with advice, criticism, constant presence. That evening they drove to the mother-in-law's to share the news. Patricia gasped, clapped her hands. A grandbaby. Oh my goodness, I'm so happy. She hugged Ryan, then Emma. Emma stood stiffly in the embrace. Now you especially need help, Patricia said, settling them on the couch. Pregnant women need to avoid stress. Take it easy. I'll come every day. Cook clean. You just rest. I still have to work for at least 3 months, objected Emma, until I'm eligible for maternity leave. All the more reason. After work, you'll be exhausted, and you'll come home to a clean place, hot meal ready. I'll take care of everything. Ryan looked at his mother gratefully. Thank you, Mom. You're saving us. Emma was silent, drank water, stared at the wall. Patricia now had an ironclad argument. Pregnancy, grandbaby, care for the expectant mother. Now, she really couldn't be stopped. The mother-in-law truly did begin coming every day. In the morning, she'd arrive with grocery bags, cook breakfast, prep lunch and dinner, do laundry, dust, vacuum. Emma would return from work to find the apartment spotless. The slow cooker or oven would have something delicious ready. Patricia would greet her with a critical eye. You look pale. Are you taking your prenatal vitamins? I am. Which brand? Show me. Emma would retrieve the bottle. The mother-in-law would read the label, shake her head. These aren't the best. You need these organic ones. She'd produce another bottle. I bought them. Take these instead. Or you wore jeans today. Pregnant women should wear maternity clothes sooner. Here's a comfortable dress. Change into it. Or let your hair down. A ponytail looks sloppy. Women should look put together even at home. Every day, a new set of instructions. Emma listened silently, nodded, pretended to agree, and in the evening downloaded camera recordings. Watched what the mother-in-law did during the day in their absence. Patricia didn't just clean. She went through all drawers, cabinets, boxes, read Emma's notes, examined documents, checked financial papers. One day, she opened their safe. It sat in the bedroom closet, small with a digital keypad. Emma kept their passports, important documents, some emergency cash there. Only she and Ryan knew the code. But in the video, Patricia approached the safe, entered the code on the first try, opened it, removed documents, photographed several with her phone, put them back, closed it. Emma re-watched the recording 3 times. The mother-in-law knew the code. Ryan must have given it to her, or she'd watched when they opened it. Didn't matter. What mattered was she had access. The next day, Emma changed the code, bought a better safe, larger and more secure, hid it in a different location, didn't even tell Ryan where. She transferred all critical documents there, flash drives with recordings cache. Now it was truly safe. The pregnancy was difficult. Morning sickness, fatigue, dizziness. Emma barely made it to her leave date. In early June, she stopped working, stayed home. Patricia was in her element. Now she could spend whole days with her daughter-in-law, supervise every action. You sit too much. You need to walk more, stay active. You don't eat enough. The baby needs nutrition. Come on, finish your plate. You're not breathing correctly for labor. Watch. Here's the proper technique. You're lying on the wrong side. Left side is better for circulation. Emma endured. Outwardly calm, compliant. Inside, she seethed. She continued watching camera footage. Patricia continued her snooping. Now she also inspected baby items. Emma had started buying things for the nursery. These diapers aren't the right kind. You need the hypoallergenic ones. This baby lotion has chemicals. Use this organic brand. Don't put the crib there. It should be here, away from the window. Ryan agreed with everything. He had completely handed over household management to his mother. He'd come home from work, eat dinner, watch TV, go to bed. Emma felt like a guest in her own home. Everything was decided by Patricia. What to cook, how to clean, what to buy, where things should go. One evening, Emma couldn't stand it anymore. Ryan, we need to talk. He looked up from his tablet. About what? About your mother. She spends too much time here. I'm tired of constant supervision. She's helping us. You can't manage everything on your own right now. I would manage, if she'd give me a chance. Emma, you're pregnant. You can't overdo it. Mom is doing everything right. Right. Like when she goes through all our stuff, reads my planners, photographs our documents. Ryan frowned. How do you know that? I notice. Things aren't where I left them. Papers have been looked through. Maybe she was just organizing. Ryan, she's invading our privacy without permission. Is that okay? He was silent, then sighed. I'll talk to her. Ask her to be more careful. I don't need her to be more careful. I need her not to come every single day. How would that work? Who'd cook? Clean? Me. It's my apartment, my home, our home. And my mother has the right to help us. Emma stood up, went to the bedroom, lay on the bed, stared at the ceiling. The conversation was pointless. Ryan didn't see the problem. For him, Mom was a saint caring for them, and she herself was hormonal, pregnant, making up problems. She had to act differently, more decisively. The next day, Emma called Karen. I need more information about Patricia Henderson, all her financial transactions for the last 6 months, and all contacts. Who she meets with, talks to, texts with. That's more complex, answered Karen. It'll cost more, around $5,000. Emma checked the balance of her secret account. $8,750. After payment, $3,750 would remain. Not much, but necessary. I agree. How long? 2 weeks minimum. Okay, waiting for the report. 2 weeks dragged on. Patricia continued coming daily. Emma met her with a forced smile, tolerated comments, instructions, lectures. In her belly, the baby grew. Movements became stronger, more noticeable. Emma would stroke her abdomen in the evenings, whisper, "Hang in there a little longer. Everything will change soon." 2 weeks later, Karen sent the report. Emma opened the encrypted file late at night when Ryan was asleep. Patricia continued saving money. The account had grown to $26,500, plus in her checking account another $15,000. Total over $40,000. She no longer looked at condos for Ryan. Now she was looking at 2-bedroom units in the same complex where she lived. The report included screenshots of text conversations from the mother-in-law's phone. The investigator had somehow obtained access. Emma didn't ask how. Conversation with friend Diane. They're having a baby. Now the daughter-in-law definitely won't leave. She'll be stuck at home, dependent on Ryan, and Ryan will depend on me. They'll have to accept my help. What choice will they have? Conversation with someone named Linda. I'm saving for a 2-bedroom. I want Ryan with his family to move in with me. It's easier to guide them that way. While they're in their own place, I have limited influence. But under one roof? That's completely different. Conversation with a realtor. Look for 2-bedroom units in my building. Price range up to $300,000. I need a place where 3 adults and a baby will fit comfortably. A separate room for my son's family, separate for me. Emma read and felt ice in her veins. Patricia was planning to buy a 2-bedroom and move them in with her, under the guise of helping the young family, the pretext that it would be easier with a baby, but really to control them completely, so they couldn't make a move without her knowledge. Further in the report were recordings of phone conversations. The investigator had placed a monitoring device. Conversation with a friend. I've already found the perfect unit. Great 2-bedroom, just renovated. When I save another $8,000, I'll buy it. And I'll tell Ryan I want to help them. Offer to move in. They're paying rent every month, throwing money away, but this would be free. With Grandma right there to help with the baby. Ryan will definitely agree. And the daughter-in-law, well, she can't refuse free housing. She'd look ungrateful. Conversation with someone else. The key is to do it before they buy something themselves. While they don't have the down payment. If they buy their own place, it's too late. That's why I'm rushing. I want to close this in the next 6 months. Emma closed the file, saved it on the flash drive, put it in the safe, stood up, went to the window. Outside was darkness. Streetlights glowed. A few cars passed by. Patricia wanted to absorb them, move them in, keep them under surveillance, 24/7. And most frightening, Ryan would probably agree. He'd think, great, no more rent. Mom nearby to help with the baby. He wouldn't see the trap, wouldn't understand that the mother-in-law wanted to manage their lives permanently. Emma returned to the bedroom, lay down next to her husband. He slept, breathing evenly. She stroked his hair, looked at his face. "I'm sorry," she whispered, "but I won't let her destroy us." Emma gave birth at the end of August. A girl. They named her Sophia. Labor was long, but without complications. Patricia kept vigil at the hospital the entire time. She was first to hold her granddaughter when they were discharged. Ryan beamed with joy. At home, the mother-in-law went into full gear. She stayed with them the first week, slept on the living room pull-out, got up with the baby at night, changed diapers, did everything. Emma lay in the bedroom, listening to Patricia whisper to her granddaughter in the dark, "My precious girl, my beautiful baby, Grandma will protect you from everything. You'll grow up smart and loved with me, not like your mommy." Emma squeezed the pillow, said nothing. After a week, the mother-in-law returned to her condo, but came twice daily, morning and evening, helped with the baby, cooked, cleaned. Ryan idolized his mother, told Emma, "See how Mom helps? We couldn't do this without her." Emma was silent, nursed her daughter, changed diapers, rocked her, did what new mothers do, and continued watching camera recordings. Patricia, left alone with the baby, said disturbing things to her. "Your mommy doesn't love you. Look how she looks at you. No warmth. But Grandma loves you. Grandma will always be here." Or, "Your daddy is good, but Mommy is bad. She doesn't appreciate him. When you grow up, you'll understand." Or, "Soon we'll all live together at Grandma's place. It's nice there, spacious, not like this cramped apartment." Emma listened to these recordings and felt something cold and heavy settle inside her. Icy solid. The mother-in-law was programming the child from infancy, turning her against her mother. Enough. Enough waiting, accumulating, enduring. Time to act. Emma called Karen. "I need a lawyer. Family law, the best you know." "There's one. Expensive but excellent. $8,000 for a comprehensive consultation and strategy session." "Set it up." 3 days later, Emma drove downtown, left the baby with Ryan, said she had a postpartum checkup. She met with the attorney in a high-rise office building, a woman in her 50s, sharp-eyed in a designer suit. She listened to Emma's story, reviewed the documents, recordings, videos. "You have a strong case," she said, closing the laptop after viewing the evidence. "More than enough documentation. The mother-in-law is clearly overstepping, violating boundaries, engaging in manipulation. The question is, what outcome do you want?" "I want her completely out of our lives." "That's unrealistic. She's your husband's mother, your child's grandmother. Family law protects those relationships." "Then I want to minimize contact. Rare visits, only by mutual agreement. No key to our home, no access to our private space." The lawyer nodded. "That's achievable, but you absolutely need your husband's support. Without him backing you, you'll get nowhere. He has to take your side. He's on his mother's side. Then you need to convince him, show him the truth, ideally in a way where he reaches the conclusion himself, not where you're telling him what to think." "How?" The lawyer considered. "You have recordings where the mother-in-law speaks negatively about you to the child." "I do." "Show those to your husband. Specifically those. Any father will be upset learning someone is poisoning his child against the mother, even if it's his own mother." Emma nodded, paid the substantial retainer, left. That evening she sat in the kitchen for a long time, drinking chamomile tea. Ryan had put Sophia to bed, came out to join his wife. "Why are you still up?" "I'm thinking." "About what?" "About us. About your mother." About what's happening. He sat across from her. About Mom again. Emma, how long can this go on? She's helping us. She's helping herself, using us. That's ridiculous. Emma took out her phone, opened a video file, handed it to Ryan. Watch this. What is it? Camera recording. Your mother talking to our daughter when I'm not around. Ryan frowned, took the phone, pressed play. On the screen, Patricia held Sophia in her arms, rocked her, spoke in a soft voice. My sweet baby, your mommy doesn't love you. See how cold she is with you? But Grandma adores you. Grandma will do anything for you. Ryan went pale, continued watching. Your daddy is wonderful, but Mommy is mean. She doesn't appreciate him. Harsh and cold. When you grow up, you'll see for yourself. The video ended. Ryan sat motionless, staring at the blank screen. When was this recorded? 2 days ago, when you were at work and I went to Target. We have cameras in the apartment. Yes, I installed them 2 months ago to know what happens when I'm not here. Ryan put the phone on the table, rubbed his face with his hands. I can't believe it. Mom wouldn't say that. But she did. Here's the proof. Want me to show you more? There are dozens of hours of conversations like this over the past 2 months. He stood up, paced around the kitchen, stopped at the window. Why would she say that? To a baby? To turn Sophia against me from the start. She's conditioning her. But why? To control. Me, you, the baby, all of us. Haven't you noticed how she interferes in every aspect of our lives? How she decides everything for us? Ryan was silent. And that's not all, continued Emma. She's saving money for a 2-bedroom unit, planning to move us in with her under the guise of helping. Really to keep us under complete control. How do you know? Emma got a folder from her bag, placed it in front of her husband. Private investigator report. I hired her 6 months ago to check your mother's finances. Here are text conversations. Here are phone call recordings. Read. Ryan opened the folder, read silently, turned pages. His expression changed from confusion to anger to bewilderment. She wants to move us in with her. Yes, without our consent. She's certain you'll agree. Free housing, help with the baby. Who would refuse? I would refuse. We should live on our own. Independently. Emma stood up, went to him. Then you need to talk to her. Set boundaries. Tell her she can't come whenever she wants, can't go through our things, can't say terrible things about me to our baby. He hugged her. I'll talk to her. Tomorrow. But the conversation didn't happen. Patricia came in the morning as usual. Ryan had already left for work. Emma was left alone with the baby and mother-in-law. Patricia was making French toast, humming. Emma was nursing Sophia in the kitchen. You know, Emma, the mother-in-law began, flipping bread in the pan. I've been thinking it's wasteful for you to pay rent every month. Maybe you should move in with me. I have a 1-bedroom now, but I've been looking at 2 bedrooms. Really nice ones. I'll buy one soon. There'll be room for everyone. Emma froze. You're offering us to live together. Well, yes, it makes sense. I'll help with Sophie. It'll be easier for you and economical too. We won't move in with you. Patricia turned around. Why not? Because we want to live on our own. By ourselves. That's silly. Families help each other. Multi-generational living is making a comeback. We won't live like that. The mother-in-law put down the spatula, came closer. You're deciding for Ryan? I'm speaking for both of us. Ryan hasn't said anything to me about refusing. Because you haven't officially asked yet. But I'm already answering. No. Patricia narrowed her eyes. You're against me helping you? I'm against you controlling our life. Controlling? I give everything to you. Come every day. Cook, clean, and you say this to me. Because nobody asked you to. You decided on your own you have the right to interfere in everything. The mother-in-law's face reddened. Ungrateful. I do everything for you and you. Everything, Emma interrupted. Stop. I'm done with this. You won't come here every day anymore. Once a week on weekends. And only if we invite you. What? Are you serious? Give back the key to the apartment. Now. Patricia stood with her mouth open. You're joking. No. Give me the key. I won't. This is my son's apartment. This is our apartment together. And I don't want you walking in uninvited. Ryan gave me this key. Ryan will get it back tonight. But for now, give it to me. The mother-in-law grabbed her purse, pressed it to her chest. No. Then I'm calling the police. I'll tell them you entered without the resident's permission. You've lost your mind. No. I'm just done tolerating this. Patricia stared at her daughter-in-law for a long moment. In her eyes was rage, disbelief, fear. You'll regret this, she finally managed. Maybe, but it will be my decision. The mother-in-law threw the key on the counter, grabbed her bag and coat, rushed out of the apartment, slamming the door. Emma stood in the kitchen, holding her daughter. Her hands trembled, her heart pounded. She had done it, said everything that had built up over the years, drove the mother-in-law out of the house, out of their life. But it didn't feel like victory, more like emptiness. Ryan came home at 8. Emma told him about the morning confrontation. He listened, his face growing pale. She tried to hit you. She tried. I stopped her. God, I'll talk to her. Explain that's unacceptable. Don't bother. She won't change. Just set final boundaries. Tell her visits are now only by arrangement. Once a month, no more. Ryan hugged his wife. I'm sorry you had to deal with this. I managed. I know. You're incredible. They sat in the kitchen, holding hands. Outside the window rain fell. The city grew quiet. Patricia didn't appear for a week. Didn't call, didn't text. Emma checked the cameras daily. Nobody. Silence. Ryan was anxious. Called his mother himself. She didn't answer. He sent texts. No reply. She's hurt, he said. Maybe we should go to her place, check if she's okay. Wait a bit longer. She'll cool off. But on the 8th day, the mother-in-law finally made contact. She arrived on Saturday morning, rang the doorbell. Ryan opened. On the threshold stood his mother, pale, drawn with dull eyes. Mom. He hugged her. We were worried. Can I come in? She asked quietly. Of course. She entered the apartment, took off her coat, went to the kitchen. Emma sat there with Sophia in her arms. Hello, Patricia, she said evenly. Hello. The mother-in-law sat at the table. Ryan made coffee, set out mugs. How are you, Mom? You disappeared for a whole week. I was thinking, she answered, looking into the cup. Thinking a lot. About what? About what happened. About what you said. About myself. Emma watched silently. And what conclusions did you reach? Asked Ryan. Patricia raised her eyes. I realized I went too far. Interfered too much in your lives. I'm sorry. Ryan exhaled with relief. Thank you, Mom. That means a lot. I just wanted to help, take care of you, but I guess I overdid it. It's okay. The main thing is you understand now. Patricia turned to Emma. I want to apologize to you especially. I was wrong. Emma looked into the mother-in-law's eyes, tried to find sincerity there, but saw only emptiness. I accept your apology, she finally said. Can I hold my granddaughter? Emma hesitated for a second, then passed Sophia to Patricia. She took the girl in her arms, pressed her close, closed her eyes. My precious one, she whispered. Grandma missed you so much. Ryan smiled, watching them. Emma sat tense. Something was off. Patricia had given up too easily, too quickly. The mother-in-law stayed for 2 hours, played with her granddaughter, drank coffee, talked with Ryan about his job. She barely interacted with Emma. Then she said goodbye and left. When the door closed, Ryan hugged his wife. See, everything worked out. Mom understood, changed. Emma said nothing. Inside, everything screamed. This is a trap. Patricia doesn't change that fast. She's planning something. But Ryan was happy, and she didn't want to ruin his mood. 2 weeks passed calmly. Patricia came on weekends, stayed for a couple hours, played with her granddaughter, drank coffee, behaved quietly, politely. Didn't snoop, didn't give unsolicited advice. Ryan was content. Emma remained wary. And then one evening in mid-October, Ryan came home upset. What happened? Asked Emma. Someone from a collection agency called Mom. They say she has a huge debt on a loan. Emma froze. What loan? I don't know. She says it's a mistake, but they call every day, demanding she pay the debt. How much? $25,000. Emma sat on the couch. Where does she have a loan for $25,000? No idea. She says she didn't take any loan. Thinks it's identity theft. Someone opened it in her name. She's going to the bank tomorrow. I wanted to go with her, but I can't get off work. Can you go? Emma wanted to refuse, but curiosity won. All right, I'll go. The next day, they met Patricia at the Chase branch. The mother-in-law looked worried. Thank you for coming, she said to Emma quietly. I'm scared to deal with this alone. They went inside, approached a banker. Patricia explained the situation. The woman pulled up the account, checked the computer. Yes, there is a personal loan issued in your name. 6 months ago, $25,000. Monthly payment of $700. You've missed payments for 3 months. There's a debt of $2,300 in late fees and interest. Patricia went pale. But I didn't take this loan. We have your signature on the application and your ID on file. Would you like to see the documents? The banker printed them out. Patricia looked at them, confused. This is my signature, but I don't remember signing this. Emma took the papers, scanned them. Date of application, April. Loan purpose, debt consolidation. Money deposited to Patricia's checking account. Did you receive money in your account? Asked Emma. I don't know. My debit card was stolen in May, turned up a week later. Maybe something happened then. If your card was stolen, you should have reported it immediately, noted the banker, and filed a police report. I didn't think it was serious. Emma studied her mother-in-law. She was nervous, contradicting herself. Something wasn't adding up. Patricia, she said quietly, are you absolutely sure you didn't take this loan? The mother-in-law looked at her daughter-in-law. Something flashed in her eyes. Fear? Guilt? I didn't. I swear. Emma didn't believe her, but said nothing. They left the bank. Patricia leaned against the building. What do I do now? Where do I get that kind of money? File a police report. For identity theft. Let them investigate. I'm afraid. What if they say it's my fault? Then you'll have to pay the debt. The mother-in-law was silent, then looked at Emma. Could you help? Loan me the money. Emma almost laughed. Are you serious? Well, I didn't do it on purpose. Someone must have stolen my identity. I really need help. Go to the police. That's your only option. Emma, please. No. Emma turned around, walked to her car. Patricia stood by the bank. That evening, Ryan asked how it went. The loan exists, answered Emma. Your mother says she didn't take it. Thinks it's identity theft. What should we do? She needs to file a police report. And if she's really not at fault, she'll have to pay someone else's debt if she doesn't report it. Yes. Ryan thought, maybe we could help her. Emma looked at her husband. We don't have that kind of money. But we could take a personal loan, help Mom clear the debt. Then she'd pay us back. Ryan, do you honestly believe she'll pay us back? Why wouldn't she? She's my mother. Emma stood up. paced around the room. Okay, let's figure out how much money your mother actually has. How would I know? Well, I know. She has 26,000 in savings, plus another 15,000 in checking. Total over 40,000. More than enough to pay this debt herself. Ryan stared at his wife. How do you know this? The investigator checked. 6 months ago, I showed you the report. Then it was 20-something. Over 6 months, she's added more, continued saving. So here's the question. Why would someone with over 40,000 in the bank take a loan for 25,000? Ryan was silent. She didn't take it accidentally, continued Emma. She took it deliberately for something, then couldn't pay it back and now wants us to bail her out. Again. You think she's lying again? I know it. He sat on the couch, held his head in his hands. Why would she lie? To get money from us. To put us in debt for her sake. To make us dependent again. Ryan looked up. I don't believe it. Mom couldn't do that. Emma took out her phone, opened a file, sat next to her husband. Then listen to this. Recording of your mother's conversation with a friend from a month ago. The investigator captured it. She played the audio. Patricia's voice came through clearly. I took a loan for 25,000, added it to my savings. It was enough for a 2-bedroom. Already closed on it, finishing paperwork. Soon I'll offer Ryan and his family to move in. Say it's for them. Free. He'll agree. What choice does he have? And then I'll have leverage. I gave them a place to live, so they owe me. The daughter-in-law won't be able to object. We'll have to stay quiet. The recording ended. Ryan sat motionless. When was this recorded? 2 weeks ago, after our conversation about boundaries. So she didn't change, just pretended. Yes. He stood up, paced around the room, stopped at the window. She bought a condo with a loan to lure us there. Exactly. And now she wants us to help with the debt, so we'd essentially be paying for her scheme. Correct. Ryan turned to his wife. What should we do? Emma went to him. Tell her no. Finally, so she understands. We won't finance her manipulations. But she's my mother. Who's trying to destroy our family to maintain control? Do you see it now? He was silent for a long time, then nodded. I see it. The next day, Patricia called Ryan at work, begged him to come over talk. He agreed. That evening, he went to her place. Emma stayed home with the baby. He returned 2 hours later. Pale, shaken. She cried, he said, sitting on the couch. Said the bank is threatening to sue, that they'll garnish her Social Security, that she'll lose everything. And I said no. Said I won't give money, that she needs to handle her own problems. Emma sat next to him. How did she react? She accused me of betrayal. Said I chose you over her, that you poisoned me against her, that I'm an ungrateful son. I'm sorry. Don't be. You were right from the start. I just didn't want to see the truth. They sat in silence. Ryan took his wife's hand. I love you and our daughter. You're my family. Mom is the past. Emma hugged him. Thank you. Patricia didn't appear for 3 weeks. Then a text arrived. Can I come Saturday? Want to see my granddaughter. Ryan showed Emma. She nodded. Let her come. The mother-in-law appeared Saturday afternoon. Older looking, tired, without her usual energy. Hello, she said quietly. Hello, answered Emma. Come in. They sat in the living room, had coffee. Patricia held Sophia in her arms, rocked her silently. How are things with the loan? Asked Ryan. Handled it. Had to withdraw from savings. Sell some jewelry. Managed. You bought a condo. Patricia was quiet. Yes, a 2-bedroom. But not for you. For myself. I wanted more space. I see. Silence. I won't interfere in your lives anymore, the mother-in-law finally said. I promise. Can I just see my granddaughter sometimes? Ryan looked at his wife. She nodded. Of course, Mom. You're always welcome. Just let us know ahead of time. Okay. Patricia stayed an hour, then said goodbye and left. When the door closed, Emma exhaled. Think she'll actually back off? I don't know, answered Ryan, but we'll stay alert. But the calm didn't last long. A month later, at the end of November, something unexpected happened. Emma was home with her daughter. Ryan was at work. Someone rang the doorbell. She opened it. On the threshold stood Patricia. Without warning, at 6 a.m., Emma looked at her mother-in-law in surprise. Patricia, what happened? I need to talk to you urgently. It's 6 in the morning. I know, but it's important. Emma let the mother-in-law inside. She went to the kitchen, sat at the table, face pale, lips tight. I know everything, said Patricia. What exactly? About your cameras, about the investigator, about you spying on me all this time. Emma froze. How? Found one of your cameras last week by accident when I was here. Then realized there are several. Checked the outlets, the smoke detectors. You recorded everything I did. Yes, I recorded. Why? To know the truth. To have evidence of your manipulation. Patricia gave a bitter laugh. Manipulation. So I'm a manipulator. Yes. And who are you? A saint who spied on her mother-in-law for 6 months. I was protecting my family. From me. From the grandmother. From someone who tried to control us, damage our relationship, turn our child against her mother. The mother-in-law stood up. Fine, let's be honest. You want me completely gone from your lives. I want you to respect our boundaries. Boundaries is a nice word, but really you want to cut me off from my son and granddaughter. No, I want you to stop interfering. Patricia came closer. Know what else I discovered? You have a secret bank account in your maiden name. There's over $8,000 there. You're hiding money from your husband. For what? Planning a divorce. Emma felt cold. How did you find out? I have connections too, and investigators think you're the only clever one. They stood facing each other, 2 women, each with secrets. All right, said Patricia. Enough games. Tell me straight what you want. Emma straightened up. I want you to leave our life completely. I'm Ryan's mother, and that doesn't give you the right to control him. I don't control. I care. You suffocate, manipulate, intrude. The mother-in-law clenched her fists. Fine. Then listen carefully. Learning that I had quit my job and canceled all transfers. My mother-in-law arrived at 6 a.m. to sort things out, but she didn't expect what I would do next. Emma froze. This wasn't about her. Patricia was talking about someone else. Got confused. What did you say? The mother-in-law blinked, swayed. I didn't mean that. She grabbed the table. Emma rushed to her. Are you okay? Blood pressure. I forgot my medication. Emma helped Patricia to a chair, brought water. The mother-in-law drank in small sips. Should I call 911? No, I'll be fine. They sat in silence. Patricia recovered slowly. Emma stood nearby, uncertain what to do. I'm sorry, the mother-in-law finally said. I lost control. Didn't mean to come at 6 a.m. to attack you. Just couldn't help myself. I understand. Do you really want me gone? Emma sat across from her. I don't want you gone. I want you to understand. This is our life, our decision, our family. You can be part of this family, but not the boss of it. Patricia looked into her cup. I spent my whole life directing Ryan, deciding for him, guiding him. And now you're saying that's wrong. Because he's an adult. He has a wife, a child. He should make his own choices. And if he makes mistakes, they'll be his mistakes, his lessons, his life. The mother-in-law stood up, walked to the door. All right, I get it. I won't interfere anymore. You said that a month ago. Patricia turned around. Then I was lying. Now I'm telling the truth. I'm tired of fighting, tired of pretending. I just want to be a grandmother. Sometimes see my granddaughter. Help if asked, stay out if not. Emma watched her for a long moment. Okay, let's try. The mother-in-law nodded and left. Emma closed the door, leaned against it, exhaled. Believe Patricia, or is this another game? Time would tell. 2 months passed. Patricia came once a week on Saturdays for a couple hours, played with Sophia, had coffee left. Didn't snoop, didn't give advice, didn't criticize. Ryan was happy. Emma remained cautious. And then something happened that changed everything. At the end of January, Emma found a job, remote, as an accountant for a small tech startup. Good pay, flexible hours. She accepted immediately. Ryan was pleased. Excellent. Now we'll have 2 incomes again. We can save for a house faster. Emma nodded, but thought about something else. Now she was financially independent again. Could save to her secret account. Could be ready for anything. On her first day of work, she sat at home at the computer, learned the systems, reviewed files. Patricia didn't come, it was Wednesday. That evening Ryan called. Emma, I'll be late at work. Big project deadline. I'll be home around 10. Okay. She continued working. Sophia slept in the nursery. The apartment was quiet, and suddenly someone pounded on the door. Loud, insistent. Emma went to the door, looked through the peephole. Patricia. She opened. What happened? The mother-in-law burst into the apartment. Face flushed, eyes wild. You, she shouted. You ruined everything. What are you talking about? Ryan refused to help with my condo. I offered to sell it to him at cost, and he refused. Said you're buying your own house without my help. Emma closed the door, and he did the right thing. Right. I spent everything on this place, took a loan, and now I can't sell it. Stuck with 2 mortgages, can't make the payments. That's your problem, not ours. Patricia grabbed Emma by the shoulders. You turned him against me. Poisoned his mind. Take your hands off me. No. You destroyed my family. Emma jerked free, stepped back. You destroyed it yourself. With your lies, manipulation, control. I did everything for my son. You did everything for yourself. To keep him close, dependent, under your thumb. The mother-in-law raised her hand. Emma caught her wrist. Don't, or I'm calling the police. Call them. Let everyone know what you are. What am I? Cold, calculating, heartless. You don't love Ryan. You're using him. Emma almost smiled. You're describing yourself. You're the one who used him his whole life as your purpose, your way of feeling important. Shut up. No. Enough staying quiet. Learning that I had quit my job and canceled all transfers. My mother-in-law arrived at 6 a.m. to sort things out. But she didn't expect what I would do next. Patricia froze. What? I quit supporting you 3 years ago. That job where you demanded money every month. Found a better one, better paying, and stopped the transfers. Remember. What does that have to do with anything? And you came then at 6 a.m., screamed, demanded, threatened. And I told you what I should have said from the start. You won't get a penny from me. Not from me, not from my husband. Because you've already taken too much. Remember those words. The mother-in-law went pale. You remember all that? Everything. From the very beginning. Every word. Every manipulation. Every attempt to control us. I never. You did exactly that. And you know what? You lost. Ryan is on my side. I work, earn, save. We'll buy a house ourselves. Without you. And we'll live separately, happily. And you'll be stuck with your 2 condos and loans. Alone. Patricia stood trembling. Tears ran down her face. You're a monster. No. I'm just a woman protecting her family from anyone, even from her mother-in-law. Emma went to the door, opened it. Leave. And don't come again without being invited. Next time I really will call the police. Patricia walked to the exit, stopped at the threshold. Ryan will find out what you really are, sooner or later. He already knows. Knows I'm strong, smart, willing to fight for our family. And he loves that about me. The mother-in-law left. Emma closed the door, locked all the locks, went to the kitchen, sat at the table. Her hands shook, her heart raced. She had done it, said everything that had built up over the years, expelled the mother-in-law from their home, from their life. But it didn't feel like victory, more like exhaustion. Ryan came home at 10. Emma told him about Patricia's visit. He listened, his face draining of color. She tried to hit you? She tried. I stopped her. Jesus, I'll talk to her. Make it clear that's unacceptable. Don't bother. She won't change. Just set final boundaries. Say visits are now only by invitation. Once a month, maximum. Ryan hugged his wife. I'm sorry you had to deal with that. I handled it. I know. You're amazing. They sat in the kitchen, holding hands. Outside the window, the city lights twinkled. Life continued. Patricia didn't appear for 2 months. Didn't call, didn't text. Ryan tried reaching out. She didn't respond. He worried, but Emma said, give her space to process, to accept the situation. In March, a message arrived. Sold the 2-bedroom, paid off the loan, staying in my original condo. Won't ask for help anymore. Sorry for everything. Ryan showed Emma. She read, nodded. Good. Maybe we should visit her? If you want, but I'm not going. Why not? Because I need distance from her. A lot of distance. Ryan went alone, returned subdued. Mom looks older. Seems lonely. That's her choice. She asked about you. About Sophie. What did you say? That you're both doing well. That Sophie is growing. That you're working again. And she nodded, said she's glad. That you're a strong woman. That Sophie is lucky to have you as her mom. Emma gave a small smile. Maybe she finally understands something. Maybe. But Emma didn't believe it. Patricia could be pretending, waiting, planning. So she stayed vigilant, continued saving money, continued keeping all evidence in the safe, just in case. Because in this life, you can never be too careful. A year passed. Ryan occasionally visited his mother. Emma didn't go with him. Patricia saw her granddaughter via FaceTime. Once a month, no more. They saved with Ryan, bought a 3-bedroom house in a good school district, moved in spring. Patricia didn't come to the housewarming. Sent a text, congratulations, wishing you happiness. Emma stood at the window of the new house, looking at the backyard. Ryan played with Sophia on the grass. The child laughed. Everything should be good. They had achieved their goal. Their own home, financial stability, mother-in-law at a safe distance. But somehow inside was emptiness. Emma had won the war, defended boundaries, protected her family. But she felt tired, hollow. What are you thinking? Ryan asked, coming up behind her. Nothing. Are we happy? She turned, looked into his eyes. Yes, we're happy. But the words sounded uncertain. Another 6 months passed. Patricia sent a photo. She sat in a restaurant with another woman. Both smiled. Caption, met a neighbor. We do yoga together. Not so lonely anymore. Ryan was pleased. Mom made a friend. That's great. Emma looked at the photo. Patricia really did look calmer. Even content. Maybe she truly had accepted it. Found other purpose in life. Or maybe she was just waiting, gathering strength, preparing for another attempt. Emma didn't know and didn't want to guess. She just lived, worked, raised her daughter, loved her husband, and kept a folder with evidence in the safe, just in case. Because in this life, you can't afford to be too trusting. Sophia turned 3. They threw a small party at the house, invited friends and neighbors. They didn't invite Patricia. That evening, when the guests had left, the mother-in-law called. "Can I come tomorrow to see my granddaughter? I have a present for her." Ryan looked at Emma, questioningly. She hesitated. "All right, come." The next day Patricia arrived with a large box. Inside was a play kitchen set. Expensive, elaborate. "This is for you, sweetheart," she said to Sophia. The girl squealed with delight, examining the toy. Patricia beamed. Emma stood to the side, watching. The mother-in-law stayed an hour, played with her granddaughter, had coffee. She barely spoke to Emma. With Ryan, she was polite but distant. When leaving, she stopped at the door. "Thank you for letting me come." "Always welcome, Mom," answered Ryan. Patricia looked at Emma. "You're a good mother." "Sophia is lucky. That's what matters." Emma nodded silently. The mother-in-law left. Ryan closed the door, hugged his wife. "See, it all worked out. Mom accepted the situation." Emma said nothing, looking at the closed door. Had she accepted? Or was she just biding her time? Who knows? 2 more years passed. Sophia was 5, started kindergarten. Emma worked. Ryan got promoted. They lived peacefully, steadily. Patricia came once every couple months, saw her granddaughter, brought small gifts. With her daughter-in-law she communicated minimally, coolly but politely. One autumn evening Emma sat on the back porch, drinking tea, looking at the stars. Ryan had put their daughter to bed, joined his wife. "What are you thinking about?" "That we survived." "Survived?" "Through that war with your mother. Protected our family." Ryan sat next to her. "Do you regret anything?" Emma thought. "I regret that we had to fight. I would have preferred it differently. Peacefully, without conflict. But you know it couldn't have been otherwise." "I know." Mom didn't understand any other approach. Only firmness. Only boundaries. And we managed. We did. But at what cost? We lost that sense of extended family. Ryan, your mother, resents us. Quietly. But yes. She sees her granddaughter out of obligation. Tolerates me because otherwise she wouldn't see Sophie at all. That's her choice. Her choice was made long ago, when she decided to control your life. And I just stopped her. They sat in silence. The neighborhood was quiet. A dog barked somewhere. A car passed on the street. "Are you happy?" Ryan asked quietly. Emma turned to him. "Happy, but not how I imagined. I thought victory would feel different, like joy, relief. Instead it feels like loss." "Why?" "Because I damaged your relationship with your mother. Yes, she brought it on herself. But I accelerated it, forced it. And now you see her once every couple months. Barely communicate. That's a loss too." Ryan hugged his wife. "I don't regret it. You saved our family. Mom tried to consume us. You stopped her. I'm grateful. But it hurts you." "Yes, it hurts. But it was necessary." They sat embracing. Emma closed her eyes, felt her husband's warmth, his breathing. She had won. But the price of victory was higher than she'd imagined. They gained freedom, but lost the dream of a big, loving family. They protected their daughter, but deprived her of a close relationship with her grandmother. That's life. There are no victories without losses. And Emma had accepted that. Patricia died 10 years later, quietly in her sleep. Heart failure. Ryan cried at the funeral. Emma stood beside him, held his hand. Sophia, now 15, looked at the casket without emotion. She barely knew her grandmother, saw her a few times a year. There was no real bond. After the funeral, they returned home. Ryan sat in the kitchen, drank bourbon. Emma sat with him. "Want to talk?" "About what?" "About her. Your feelings." He finished the glass, poured another. "I'm angry. At her. At myself. At everything." "Why at yourself?" "Because I could have tried harder in recent years to repair things. Visit more often, call more. But I kept my distance. Got wrapped up in work, in our family. And Mom died alone." Emma took his hand. "You're not at fault. You tried many times. But she wouldn't change, wouldn't respect boundaries. And you protected our family. That was right. But she died alone. No, she had her neighbor friend. They spent time together. Your mom found another life. Without us. That was her choice. Ryan was silent, drank bourbon. Emma sat beside him. And inside her something ached too. Not pity for Patricia, but awareness that everything could have been different. If Patricia had agreed to respect them. If Emma had been more flexible. But history has no what-ifs. What happened, happened. A year after Patricia's death, Emma was cleaning out storage. Found a box with flash drives. Those very conversation recordings, camera videos, investigator reports. She looked at them for a long time, then took the whole box, went to the backyard, burned it in the fire pit. Ryan saw smoke from the window, came down. What are you burning? The past. What past? Evidence against your mother. It's not needed anymore. The war is over. He hugged her from behind. Do you really think the war is over? Yes, we won. But the victory turned out bitter. Because we had to sever family ties. Because your mother died without forgiving us. Because our daughter will never know what it's like to have a loving grandmother. But we have each other. Yes, we do. They stood, watching the fire. Papers and plastic melted, blackened, turned to ash. Emma thought about how the war with Patricia had ended. But scars remained on everyone. On Ryan. Guilt for distancing from his mother. On Sophia. Absence of connection with her grandmother. On Emma herself. Understanding that she was right, but the cost of being right was enormous. Maybe she should have compromised more, been more flexible, allowed Patricia more influence. But then they would have lost themselves. Their freedom. Their right to their own life. The choice was made. And there's no going back. Sophia turned 20. She studied at a good university. Smart, independent, confident. One day over dinner she asked, "Mom, why didn't we have much relationship with Grandma?" Emma froze with her fork halfway to her mouth. Ryan tensed too. "It was complicated," answered Emma carefully. "How so?" "Grandma wanted to control our life, make decisions for us. We couldn't allow that. And you cut her off." "We didn't cut her off. We set boundaries. She didn't accept them. She distanced herself." Sophia thought about it. "Do you regret it?" Emma looked at her daughter. "I regret it didn't work out differently. But I don't regret the decision. We protected our family. You, Dad, our relationship. Even if it meant losing closeness with Grandma. Even at that cost." Sophia nodded, didn't ask more. And Emma wondered. Did she teach her daughter the right lesson? Or did she model a harsh approach that destroys relationships? Who knows? Life will answer. Emma sat on the same back porch as 20 years ago. She was 45, Ryan beside her, aged, graying at the temples. "Thinking about Mom?" he asked. "Yes, often. Sometimes I remember that war, those years, and I realize we were right. But the victory wasn't what we hoped for. What should it have been? I don't know. Lighter, more joyful. Instead it was gray, with the taste of ash." Ryan hugged his wife. "We got through it, survived, kept each other, raised our daughter. That's what matters." "Yes, that's what matters." They sat in silence. The night was quiet. Stars filled the sky. Emma closed her eyes, remembered Patricia, young, energetic, full of life, then aged, tired, lonely. Could it have been different? Probably not. Two strong women couldn't coexist in one territory. One had to yield. Patricia didn't yield. Emma didn't retreat. And in the end, both lost. The mother-in-law lost family. The daughter-in-law lost peace. Because in war there are no real winners. There are only survivors, and those who carry scars until the end of their days.